Heidi ho, everyone, and welcome aboard for our, well, I suppose it's the very first of the new shows that we have been changing a little bit of timing. I see
Hello,
Ash is
sir.
on board. G'day, mate.
Hello,
How you
hello.
doing?
How you doing? All right.
I'm going fine. Oh, yeah, camera. Ready, set, camera, action. There we go.
How we doing?
Yeah, top of the world, mate. Top of the world. Well, I think top of the world, except we're kind of in a little bit of a transition period here, I think. I don't see us live on social media anywhere,
Okay.
which is a bit of a concern because, g'day, John, because the whole point of doing this first half hour is for the YouTube and social media shows. I'm sure we'll sort that out tomorrow. Anyway, those of you who are registered for the show, then of course you are here anyway. Well, what a week. This could be one of the biggest weeks I've seen in many, many moons in terms of events. And I hope you can see my Forex factory. Ash, can you? Because I can't
Yes, we
see
can.
anything.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
awesome.
Yep.
Of course, it all started yesterday, if you like, with daylight saving time shift, which is why I'm here. It's actually tomorrow where I am, if that makes sense. Which, of course, starts the week off pretty sharply tomorrow, and I'll get into that very shortly. We do have coming up, however, and I've got no idea what time it is in the US at the moment, frankly. It should be, I'm guessing, 8:30 or 8:15. Would that be right? Something like that?
In the US?
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, 8:15 New York. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So we've got it's 1:16 where you are. We've got an hour and 3/4 before we get the manufacturing PMI figures coming out of the States. Tomorrow, Japan's got a bank holiday, and then it all begins with the.
It certainly does.
Yeah,
amazing. It
amazing.
does, mate. And hey, Fad, by the way, and John. Yeah, I think an interesting day already so far. You know, when we look at the numbers that we've had released, and I have to say, mate, this is one of the things about the market. I've taken a long in the FTSE, and I've just taken a bit of profits on that particular trade as well, and moved stops to break even, because on Friday I was just seeing something. Now, I was a little bit concerned. I have to say this morning when I woke up, because over the weekend the Prime Minister here announced that we were going to go into a full lockdown for a month until December. So I was a bit concerned with the market this morning when I woke up, thinking maybe my trade on Friday was misplaced. But actually, we've had a pretty nice rally so far this morning, and I am looking for that to continue.
Cool.
So I'm holding on to positions, and this is what I keep seeing. China case and manufacturing PMIs came out 53.6. Now, that's not an isolated number. If we go right through the manufacturing,
you're talking about today.
Today, yeah.
Okay, I better open it up so we can include all this. According to me, non-important news.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it is non-important in according to Forex Factory. But I'll tell you why why I think it's important, and the reason I think it's important is because we have been on a pretty stable footing when it comes down to China. Now, if we need to know anything about the worldwide economy, we need to take into three major regions potentially. You know, we need to take into America, obviously. We need to take into account China, and we need to take into account the European Union. Now, China, even though their GDP has been shrinking, it's still in positive territory, and we obviously have had a significant sell-off. The US GDP and the US numbers haven't been a horror show. You know, there has been some growth, and you look at the UK as well. The UK final manufacturing PMI grew. Final manufacturing from the Eurozone as well has grown from the previous read. So the previous read was obviously extremely low because we had the situation with COVID. So we're only, maybe halfway to 3/4 of the way back to, the capacity that we were looking at before in certainly in the UK's situation and case.
To me, they're the surprise numbers and have been through COVID, I think.
Yeah, but I suppose
been a contraction really in those figures at all, really.
Well, this is the interesting thing, I think, is because it's all relative, because there has been a contraction, but because the contraction was so deep in the first instance,
in the initial, yeah.
In the initial, what we've done is we've been climbing out of that hole, which we are still in. So the numbers aren't anywhere near back to where they should be, but they are climbing. Now, if we've got growth, don't get me wrong, the US market to me still seems like it's overpriced. But when I'm looking at the FTSE, which is why I took the trade on the FTSE specifically, I think the FTSE is undervalued and underpriced. So I quite like a potential opportunity to buy into the FTSE and see if I can just let it run. Now there's a chance I'll get stopped out, but it's as I say, now that's I've moved stops to break even, so it's a free trade and I've taken something off the table as well. So the numbers from today, I think, become ever more important. ISM manufacturing PMI again has been growing from the United States. They haven't really been badly affected with those. Sorry, they have been badly affected, but they are climbing their way up. But they haven't been badly affected subsequently since we had that initial drop. So there is no indication at this stage that we are doing anything but getting ourselves back to some kind of situation where when we get the stimulus, which will happen probably after the election now, or when we get some kind of vaccine or control over COVID-19, which might be a year or two away still. But if the numbers continue to just edge forward when we get those that situation, then I would have thought we're going to get a bit of a boom. So we've got to watch these numbers very closely, which is why I think the Keishin manufacturing number PMI and even Japan's number, I think they become ever more important, even though they're only yellow folder files. I think they become ever more important while we get just a read of what is happening with the worldwide economy, because it's just it's not in too bad a shape. And then it's just a case of, can we look at anything that's been badly beaten up, and if we find those things that are badly beaten up, is there a buying opportunity? So that's what I'm looking at with the FTSE. It may be a dead cat bounce. We might be just moving to the upside just so we can thunder to the downside again, which is why I think it's important to take profit where there's a thank you, Fad, where there is where an opportunity to do so.
Yeah, pretty stylish, Fad, don't you think? Mate, I fell under the mower and the blades weren't real sharp, so I think that's my excuse anyway.
Oh, it looks good, mate. It looks good.
I did moan.
You did moan at the time.
Did my own.
You didn't like it.
I had to get Alison to tidy it up just a little bit. I've got to get rid of these because it takes away my point, and my point is this week is an incredible week. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on in terms of red numbers, and I think what you said, Ash, is probably 100% on the money. If you want to get in this market, get yourself as safe as you can, as quickly as you can, I believe. And if you're not prepared to take very, very wide stops, then I think you're going to get beaten up on an intraday basis. I think the daily charts, even the weekly charts, might be tradable, but gee whiz, I'm going to be very cautious around 30-minute and hourly charts, and maybe even 4-hourly charts, because I think there's going to be very, very choppy price action. It may not be, it might be just a reasonable old week in terms of what we see.
Mate, I make you right. I just think that it's one of those things that I still believe that there are buying opportunities, and what I mean by that effectively is that I think there are some opportunities in the risk on attitude rather than the fear attitude and looking for risk off.
Yeah, we're seeing that today already, aren't we?
Yeah, we are seeing it today. I think the move in silver is interesting. I finally managed to get into Ethereum, which I'll show you guys later on. I think that the price. Oh, actually, it's just come right back to my price point now. So actually, Ethereum, I'm basically kind of edging into. But I did see when I looked at this last week that there was a potential for me not to be able to get on board with it at the price that I wanted. So I ended up buying it at 377 actually. 377 on Ethereum. So it's slightly above my my buy price, but it may well be, as I say, it may well be that we are going to be, plummeting to the downside again, and I think it's important to get ourselves safe in the market. But I think that there are buying opportunities, and if there are, and we pick the correct market, then some of these could be at a really attractive price point. The pound, I think, is a really interesting one.
Yeah, look, you could get some really good rides. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But timing and getting your stops in the right place, I think, is going to be the trick this week. Imagine if the Aussie didn't cut the cash rate tomorrow as they're supposed to, and then you get a weak dollar on top of that. You could get a really good ride on the Aussie if you were ballsy enough to trade it long, and nobody's calling it long. Well, except me. The whole world it seems is down on the Aussie, and the whole world seems is bullish the greenback. So I think if either of those things turn around, then you could get a really good run out of that. And I'd like to be net long the Aussie, even against the US dollar. But I again repeat, it's going to be very, very difficult to get yourself safe. And that is what is needed. I suppose what about the elephant in the room? Do we talk about this presidential election, or is it just not worth it until?
I think it's I think it is worth touching on. We're going to run a presidential election show, aren't we, in a couple of days' time, where we're going to discuss the. Let me just get the light down a little bit here. Where we're going to discuss the election and the election results. But when it comes down to today, I think the baton has almost been passed on again, and I do think this is interesting. When I was looking at the FTSE 100 stocks earlier on, there's a company that I'm really interested in. There's a couple of companies I'm really interested in actually for investing, but one of the companies that I'm really interested in is a company called ITM Power. Now, ITM Power are a clean fuel production supplier, and they use hydrogen as their clean fuel production. And I've got this theory that the ITM Power are likely to do pretty well if there is a Biden win, because I think that Biden does seem to be a bit more edged on clean energy than anything else. Now, I might be completely off the mark with this, but ITM Power this morning are up 8.6%. After a pretty heavy run to the downside. They're now up 8.6%. And I wonder whether the reason that people have bought into ITM is because of the potential for the Biden win and the potential for us to be starting to move further and further into clean energy. Because actually, if we were to break down some of the numbers with ITM in their balance sheet, they're not a great company. If you were using the old kind of Warren Buffett or Benjamin Graham style of investing, trying to invest in companies that are really good, solid companies, but that have just been a bit beaten up and they are undervalued by the stock market, this one would not fall into that particular region. But because they are renewable energy, I wonder whether they are getting a bit of a kickback from it. And just seeing how high they are today, I'm wondering whether the anticipation of a Biden win is going to start pushing these stocks that fit his criteria, if you like, up. And some of the other ones that could be under pressure. Oil, for example, we've seen oil continue its move to the downside. Where is it right now? Actually, so it's got a little bit of a boost actually now, isn't it? But oil has broken through a fairly significant level, or WCI futures through the 36.80 level, which is a significant level. And even though it's having a little bit of buying today, I think oil could suffer. And it doesn't.
Might as well show us these charts, I guess. Whilst we're talking.
Yeah, let's have a look. So, what screen am I on here? I think I'm on this screen here.
Good on you, Swee. You got into Euro Aussie. Awesome.
So this is my FTSE trade from Friday. As I say, I went long, but I've just taken some profit here at this weekly pivot. But I don't think I'll be closing the position here. I think I'll just be now moving up behind it and seeing if I can get any kind of run on this. We haven't had a drift to the downside yet, which will inevitably come. But I'm just hoping that there might well be a carving out here. But if you look at this on the daily chart, now I traded this before the daily chart established this particular bar. Why is this so? Here we go. Yeah, I traded it before the daily chart established this bar here, but this was the bar here, and I was trading it Friday, and then it ended up that the price action Friday ended up being pretty positive. So I like the price action down here, bit of a gap to the downside as well. There looks like a almost an outside bar. So if it closes at the highs, that's going to look fairly positive for some further moves to the upside. And we are literally going down and saying, is there anything of any value? And the FTSE 100 looks to me like it could be at some value down here. Sorry for this this chart. We were doing an event over the weekend, so I've still got the old settings on. I still think that there's some value here, because when we look at this on the monthly trend line here, what we are seeing is the closing, looking at those closing prices, there's some points that we've bounced down here initially. We can see that there is a horizontal level down there as well. It looks like, let's just pull up a fib as well, so we can see whether there is any confluence there. There's our fib there, and you can see that there's some confluence here around the 61.8 retracement. So this is the reason I've taken the trade in this particular area. So we'll see as I say how this one ends up working out. But I like the price, and now we're at break even, so we'll see what happens with that. And this is obviously a risk on kind of scenario. Looking at oil, which again I think is really dependent on a Biden victory. If oil is going to continue to the downside, I think this is going to be dependent on a Biden victory. Oh, we are on social media, mate.
Are we?
Yeah. I just checked YouTube. We're on YouTube. Yeah.
Okay.
We've got Alan there, and we got Dennis there. Awesome. Few more people in the room, but those two have said howdy.
Okay, I take that back, Mike. Oh, it's James. Hello, James. Thanks, mate.
Hey, got the big guns today. How you doing, James? Well, I say the big guns. I mean, he's not quite as fresh with his mic, but he knows what he's doing, I'm sure.
Oh,
so so anyway, so we're in this now. Let's have a look. So oil will be down to a Biden win. So let's check what's happened with oil. And really important numbers along here, because this breakdown of the oil price along there could well be significant. 36.80 could well be significant, and with oil, I'll be looking for selling opportunities with this one rather than buying opportunities. But this is the only problem is that are we actually going to be buying right across the board, and do we is it that we've just now flushed out the election concern and the assumption that I've got that ITM power might be drifting to the upside because of a Biden win, maybe way off the bat. Maybe what's really happening is that the old classic scenario where the market hates uncertainty and is about to potentially get certainty is really what's going on. So maybe the certainty of a presidential result being disclosed in the next 48 hours is why we are starting to buy back up again. The question whether it continues is potentially going to be down to whether it's a contested election. Maybe it's even down to who wins. I don't know, but I think the certainty that might be coming back into the market might be providing the move today. But whether it's a dead cat bounce, we won't know until Wednesday, I don't think.
Yeah, look, I'm seeing that on currencies as well. You've got things like, well, the Aussie, which I'm obviously following very closely, is having a little bit of bounce off that support level that we've been speaking about. And look, I want to be in it, but I want to see a higher low first. But I think that's the question mark, isn't it? Are these moves that we're seeing today going to be sustainable? And going into the election, how powerful are they going to be? Or, as you say, are they going to be dead cat bounces? Good question. I've got no idea, frankly. I think it's a tough one.
It is a tough one.
And again, that's what, if you're in them, get something in the bank pretty quickly, I reckon.
Yeah, I think so. Unless you're looking at a longer term kind of time frame, I think that's wise. James, you don't need to worry about posting what's in YouTube, mate. We can see, or at least I can. I can relay that to Geoff. So
Yeah,
don't
I
worry about
can
that,
now.
mate. Yeah,
I couldn't
that's
before. I had to refresh. All I could see was an ad for something on in 11 hours or something.
okay. Well, no, so we're all okay with that. I'll bring you the Ethereum scenario as well because I'm also in Ethereum. And tell you
Dennis,
what my plan with that is.
a couple of guys got busted here for here in Tassie for undersized lobsters. Must be getting close to Christmas. But
Yeah.
Chinese don't want them, eh? Interesting. So that's now lobsters, beef, barley, coal. Coal's still a question mark on coal. I haven't had that confirmed yet. Maybe I should chase that one up. They were barring Aussie coal as well in 5 ports, I think it was, or something like that. Don't know, but yeah, they're flexing their muscle a little bit. There's no doubt about that. That doesn't help the Aussie, of course. Sorry, mate.
That's okay. Well, this is the Ethereum trade that I've taken, and with this one, it was just a case. I would still buy into it again down here, which is what I'm hoping will happen. But when I was looking at the price action on Friday, I was just seeing this. Just spotted this bar here. Now that's a pretty good bar, pretty good buying bar. So the next bar came in, and I thought, well, I'll buy at the low end of the bar. So I bought in down there, and what I was starting to get a little bit concerned with about the price coming back any further for me was was when we look at this on the weekly chart, you can see that there's just a little bit of resistance here. And that resistance may, I was looking at that resistance may well have become a bit of support. And also there is a fib level, which it did actually come back to. You can see that the fib level here of 38.2. I was looking for a 50% drop, but 38.2. So I've bought into it here, but I'm going to buy back in at 50 as well if it comes back down again one more time. But I like Ethereum. I still like gold. I still like silver. I still like the FTSE. I'm interested in holding on to the FTSE for as long a period as possible. And I like the pound, mate. I do like the pound against the dollar anyway on a weekly and daily time frame. I think the pound has got a pretty good shout of picking up from down here. We look at.
Are we in Brexit good shape? I think the
yes,
last
we are.
Last I heard it was going okay.
Yeah, we're back in good shape, and look at the level down here. Decent buying opportunity with a pound. My issue from a personal standpoint is the fact that it will be against the FTSE trade, but that may well be a good thing. Because what might happen is the FTSE may struggle if the pound does well. So I might take a little hedge with the pound and actually buy into the pound here because a big move to the downside with the pound will potentially help out the FTSE 100 companies. A move to the upside might actually end up having the counter effect on the FTSE, but it might actually the FTSE might go with it because at some point there's probably going to be quite a bit of positivity, the fact that there's a Brexit deal done, because it means that UK business can effectively continue without too much disruption, relatively speaking. But great level down here. Look at the horizontal level across here. You can see that there's a bounce here. You could bring it down just that little bit further, but it certainly bounced away from that particular point there. We look at this on a weekly and daily chart, sorry, a weekly and monthly chart as well. There's just this little weekly trend line going from this lower point there to that lower point there, and again we'll just put up a fib of the whole run and see what that leads us. Yeah, that suggests a little bit further down if we take the lower end of that trend to the upper end of that trend. Actually, no, there, isn't it? So we might be just a shade below that particular point. I'll bring the same thing up on a daily and see what this suggests. Nicely in the area with a 50% retracement with a daily of the current run to the upside. So the pound looks in bullish mode here, mate, and finally taking into account the potential for what are we looking out for here with structure. It looks to me like the structure of this. Hold on 1 second, I need to do this. Calibrate. No. Sorry. I've got a calibration going on here, which is completely wrong.
Breakout trade work this morning. We got TPs 1 and 2.
Oh, fantastic. Good
Alan,
news.
to answer your question, no, the UK show is no more.
3, maybe it's 4. No, done it again. So I'm just trying to bring my pen into play here. Let's do it one more time here. Cancel that, must be 3. No. So it's not 4, it's not 3, it must be 2.
What are you looking for?
Oh, I'm just trying to get my my pen over, but because I've got 4 screens, it keeps choosing the wrong screen that I'm trying to tell it to go to. There we go. That should be right now. So my point was going to be about structure, just about trend structure, and one of the most important aspects to try and understand is trend structure. What's happening here? Well, there's the low. And it'd be good if that was in white. There's the low down there. There's the high, and I'm not going to call it a higher high because this area here, and there's the higher low. There's the higher high. And look, this is the most important aspect. There's the higher low there. There's the higher high. And all we're doing is retesting the lower end of structure. So if every time we're looking for the trend to go like this, the structural low is always there. And there's the structural high. So when it comes back, it can either come back to this point and still be in an uptrend, or it can come right back to the structural low and still be in an uptrend. So the way I'm looking at this is that the pound against the dollar is trending to the upside, and we've just got a test of the structural low. So so that's why I think that the pound's got a pretty good shout of going higher. The big question really with the pound is do the fundamentals match that? And they're okay. You know, they're not amazing in the UK, but they are okay. So there's a possibility that the pound does continue to go to the upside off Brexit alone, and not worry too much about what's happening with the data. But that's a judgment call really for everybody to make, and it's a judgment call for me to make. Do I want to buy the pound here? And the fact is, I've got to make a judgment of, is it undervalued? And that's what we're trying to always do. You know, when we're trying to buy or sell an asset, we're always trying to say, has the market got this wrong? Is the sell-off a little bit over extended, or does this have some further room to run to the downside? I would have thought with a good Brexit deal, this would be undervalued and underpriced. So therefore, a possible buying opportunity. So I'm keeping my eye on those things, mate. Mainly gold, silver. I'm keeping my eye on oil. I'm keeping my eye on the indices and the pound as well, specifically.
Okay, I might get interested in pound yen if we are going to be risk on for early in the week. So that might be a reasonable one to look at as well.
That would be, wouldn't it? Because actually, that would meet my my thought on the pound being undervalued because of Brexit, and also meet the potential situation that we are possibly back in risk on mode. You know, maybe we've hit the low of the risk on mode. So yeah, I like the look of that as well, mate. So, and I hadn't really considered the pound yen, but I certainly will do. A decent bar on Friday.
Problem with that is I'm bullish the yen, so
yeah,
you just got to pick your poison, as you said, you know, from the outset.
Yeah.
Mate, very, very quickly before we wrap up, just a few things I wanted to share as well. One of them is Aussie CAD that we traded on Thursday. I'm now out of that. It was a one-to-one trade pretty much. As I said at the time, I didn't want to take any profit off the table. I just wanted to get the money in the bank, and I have taken all profit at that level. What else? Euro yen is going okay for us still. We've been in that for quite some time as well. Kiwi yen, not so much. In fact, the Kiwi looks very, very bullish today, as we do see that risk on me to go tick, tick, tick to the upside. I'll just stay in this. We've got the weekly pivot and the monthly pivot protecting us at the moment. If we manage to get a close above those on a daily chart, then maybe I'll have to cut my losses there. But at this point in time, I'll stick with that. Euro yen we've spoken about. What I'm keen on this week, okay, interesting and quite counterintuitive. If you take a look at what the rest of the market's thinking, CAD yen's one, and we're trading the range here. All four of these have just pretty much taken off today, sadly, but I'm looking for a retracement anyway to play the higher low here on CAD yen. It's just a structure trade, trading the bottom of the range. We're back in there now, looking for a higher low, maybe back to the weekly pivot. There might be a nice entry for us. Euro Aussie is another one. Same applies. And SWE, I note SWE is already in this one. Might have been a nice bar there on Friday to trade. I wouldn't have traded it had I had I even been trading on Friday, which I rarely do, because we've got a low test bar followed by a high test bar. So that's a no-go zone for me. There's another one there that you might have traded, and that one there too dangerous because of where all the pivots are. But looks like it's back inside the range. I'll be looking for a lower high to trade that early in the week. Aussie yen, the bottom of a structure here, which is an inverted head and shoulders. We were looking for this last week as well, looking for this to come down to that level where we would look for a long, and that's exactly what we're doing. We've got the pivots in the road here and that horizontal level as well. So I'd like to get above that, or at least test it, then come back and give us the higher low, and then look to trade that long. The Aussie, back inside the range, as we expect. And again, as I said before, this may well be a dead cat bounce. It's very, very difficult to know at this point, but as usual, we're just following what we do every single day. And if we get a nice bounce off the weekly pivot down to here, retest the daily pivot, then we can look to play the higher low back to the top of the range. We're at a very, very strong horizontal level here. And I know, look, I'm probably the only person in our organisation that's saying this. I think the Aussies are buy all day long, frankly. The only problem, of course, is, well, twofold. We've got the interest rate announcement tomorrow. As soon as I'm finished, James, as soon as I'm finished, mate, we've got the Aussie interest rate announcement tomorrow, and of course we've got the potential volatility with the US dollar because it is election week, and we've got FOMC and we've got NFP, and there's all sorts of things going on. So anything could happen here, frankly. But from a structural point of view, I think this is a buy. And even if I look at the monthly chart, which is in a downtrend clearly, but we have also already broken that, the initial part of the downtrend anyway. And then we've retested that level and the horizontal level. So to me, I'm buying here all the time. I've just got to get the right signal to go. That is 1, 2, 3, 4. So they are the four that I'm looking at early in the week. Again, have to be cautious. Alan, the reason that there is no UK show anymore is primarily because I'm talking to you and it is now 1 o'clock in the morning, my time, because of the US session now, because they've gone from daylight saving off daylight saving. It's just chewing up too much time, mate. And Ash and I sat down and had a yarn about it and said, well, look, we're really stretching ourselves to do 2 of these shows per day, and one of them had to go. So it happened to be the UK show. Sadly for some, I understand that. I'm better rested, Fad, as a matter of fact. I had a good snooze this evening as well. So that's the reason, Alan. And onward and upward, we will be doing, of course, this show at whatever time it was that you guys tuned in. I think it's 9:15 for most of you. And that will continue to be the case. All right, guys. Cheers, John. Cheers. We will bid those of you who are not subscribers to the the US session adieu at this point, and we'll be back with those of you who are in just a tick. Thank you, James.
Yeah, fantastic. Guys, good job you're on this on the right time.